It's Africa Tech Friday, and we're discussing the anti-social media bill, which is before the Senate, which has said that it will not be passing the bill in its current form, but will make some changes to it before it is eventually passed. President Muhammadu Buhari has also spoken about this famous anti-social media bill, saying that he is not behind it. Well, a lot of critics have been talking about this bill. If you have been monitoring social media, you can hear and see what Nigerians have been saying. A lot of people angry at the lawmakers for even thinking about putting together such a bill. We have Bankole Oluwafemi, a blogger here in Nigeria, to discuss the effects and the implications, as well as the impacts this bill could have if eventually passed. Bankole, thank you for joining us on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me, Amarachi.
So let's get your take on this. What do you make of the anti-social media bill?
Being a blogger, obviously, you will think that it is something that I would not welcome very much. And I believe that freedom of speech should be protected, even more so on the internet. And people have found their voices en masse for the first time in a long time in Nigeria. So this kind of legislation just feels like a high-handed clampdown on, a right that people are only just beginning to exercise on pretty much every aspect of their lives and governance.
You don't think the lawmakers have a point, because the idea, according to them, is to prevent people from spreading falsehood about public officials online?
So obviously, if the only aim of that bill is to prevent public officials from being, in their opinion, malign, then the premise is wrong. And the internet is not the only place where falsehoods can be spread. As lots of people have rightly pointed out, there are laws against libel in the Nigerian body of legislation that specifically, states the implications of anyone who slanders the government. The standards for punishing people online should not be different from offline. And if there is laws against this already, then it is superfluous to just introduce a law specifically to ban speech on the internet. There is no way that they can tell people that this is not targeted to deliberately stifle, people's right to express themselves on the internet.
But Bankole, there is a thin line between expressing yourself, between free speech, and there's also a thin line between free speech and being slanderous and also slamming somebody else's character. What do you make of that? Because people sometimes do abuse the opportunities they have on social media to say things about people, sometimes which are not true.
Absolutely. So obviously we need to hold people's expressions to the same standards every single time. And if someone is said to have maligned someone's character, like defamed them or libeled them or said things that are not true in ways that are injurious to that other person, whether they be a politician or a regular citizen on the street, then the appropriate procedures should be, pursued, whether it's a criminal investigation or a civil suit. And having two sets of laws, one that is specifically targeted at the internet, again, just smacks of, censorship in a way that is very, very, suspicious about their true intentions. There should be no double standards, really. There is laws against libel and defamation, and that is pretty much, what we should be trying to enforce, not trying to sanction a particular kind of expression.
Blogger, will this bill affect you? How will it affect you directly?
To be honest, from my own perspective, as an online media publisher, we try to adhere to the highest standards of objectivity, of fairness, and we give every subject that we cover a fair right of reply whenever we're publishing our media and articles. And I believe that is the same standard that every responsible publisher, whether they're on the internet or offline, should hold themselves to. So the bill in its, in and of itself will not be harmful, but when you understand the motivations behind it and the fact that some of the provisions behind it are couched so broadly as to be able to find ways to implicate people, for frivolous reasons. Like it said, it's called the frivolous bills, but so you have to realize that the intention behind it is it can be said to be malicious in itself, then that is the context that people are taking it from. It's not harmful to people who rise above whatever. Who rise above, malice and stay objective, as long as they are behaving themselves. But the intention behind the bill itself can be said to be malicious, and really what we all need to do is to make sure that, we're not applying double standards.
I think it's a very interesting conversation that will continue. I mean, even when this bill is passed. Much earlier today, Senator Shehu Sani assured Nigerians that they would have a say in what becomes of the bill. What do you say to that? Would Nigerians really have a say to this bill, do you think?
It is really doubtful when you consider how fast it moved through the legislative houses, and it only was put in check when the president dissociated himself from the bill. Then it begs the question as to whether the citizens will actually have a say as, input into how that bill will eventually emerge at the final stages. But as you can see from just anecdotal evidence and the way people are reacting on social media, on the television, even the president of the country has come out to distance themselves from that particular bill. That is really encouraging. Really, people are happy about this, and they have made their wishes, how they feel about it in no uncertain terms. And in that way, I think that there is a victory from a public opinion perspective. All we need to make sure of is that the legislature is indeed hearing what people are saying and call to order in short order.
So we're seeking your opinion. What would you say? If you had an opportunity to make an input in the bill, what would you say?
I will say that that particular provision, Section 3, Sub 3, to be specific, is superfluous, is redundant in the light of already established legislation in the Cybercrime Act, libel and defamation legislation already pre-existing, do not enforce double standards. The only intent that we can see here is mischief on the part of the people who are pushing this bill, and I would move that it be expunged.
Bankole, it's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Network Africa.
It has been a pleasure.
Bankole Oluwafemi is a blogger here in Nigeria. Well, also happening in Nigeria has been the biting fuel crisis. You've seen the queues at the filling stations. They're extending down into the roads, causing traffic. People looking for premium motor spirits to be able to move around and have a normal life. But members of the Western Zone of Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria have appealed to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation to consider its members while supplying fuel and not limit it to the major marketers alone in order to cushion the effects of fuel shortage in the country. A very brief newsman about after an emergency meeting in Ilorin, the Southwest Zonal Chairman, IPMAN, Alhaji Debo Ahmed, urged the supply of fuel to most government depots in the zone which presently do not have fuel.
Filling stations brought about by the scarcity of premium motor spirit is a major source of concern for the Southwest Zone of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria. It's enough reason for the zonal chairman to convene an emergency meeting at the association's office in Ilorin, the Kwara State capital, where he appealed for fuel to be pumped to depots in the southwest, especially Ilorin and Mosimi, to reduce the hardship of motorists.
We have our filling stations where we sell our products. Like Ibadan depot is about 6 months, it has not been loading. Or a depot is about 2 years now, it has not been loading. Ilorin depot is 1 year. So we are therefore appealing to NNPC to accelerate the supplies of PMS in particular to independent marketers. And they should at least not concentrate so much on major marketers' depot.
Commenting on the non-availability of kerosene, The EPAN chairman announced that nearly 1 billion naira has been paid to Warri Refinery to load kerosene for the past 19 months, and there's no reason for it to be scarce.
The tickets were submitted to Warri. Warri is supposed to have loaded us. And since Warri got broke down, nothing has happened. But the kerosene, we have some minor kerosenes in Lagos. If the government can, if NNPC can probably transfer our tickets to Lagos, we can load these tickets because they are taking long. A lot of us took the money from banks. It's a loan from the bank.
The emergency meeting closed with members hoping and praying that the request will be granted as soon as possible, as Nigerians eagerly await an end to the scarcity.
Well, I'm eagerly awaiting an end to the fuel scarcity. Thanks for watching. I am Amarachi Ubani.